There are so many powerhouse moms in our community. And if there is one theme I've heard almost every single mom that I know talk about struggling with, it is mom guilt. Today, we're tackling this topic of guilt and why, whether you are a mom or not, the expectations that we can put on ourselves can cripple our ability just to make the impact that we know we're meant to make. Well, my guest today is an expert on this topic. Her name is Shira Nelson, the founder of MomBeyondBaby, where she helps moms become their best and live a life of fulfillment. Shira has coached thousands of moms across the globe through both fitness and business. And she's on a mission to help mamas find their true purpose after baby. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I have a seriously powerful mama joining me today, and she's someone who I met just recently at a business mastermind. You guys have heard me talk about the mastermind that I was in. It just finished, and what's been cool about that experience is all of the different entrepreneurs and incredible women that it has brought into my life, and Shira, you are definitely one of those. So thanks so much for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I would love if you would just start off by sharing a little bit about yourself and your journey, because what you have done is, like so many of us, you've really taken your story and your experience and turned it into a way to impact others through your business. And I know that there's going to be so many women and especially moms listening today who can really relate. So will you just take us back to what inspired you to start this business around empowering moms to live lives of fulfillment?
Yeah. So let's see. So let's go back about 7 years ago, and I was a full-time teacher, and that's just what I love doing, love education. And I became pregnant with my daughter, who's now 6. And I just knew that I needed something inside me. I had a lot of mom friends, and so it's just like this thing that happens when you become a mom. You no longer know who you are. And I was so scared of that happening. And so I told my husband, I knew that I wasn't going to go back to teaching, but I knew that I just didn't want to stay home and not have that creative outlet. I needed something to quote do, like taking care of a baby wasn't going to be enough. I don't know what I was thinking. So I started, I got on Blogger, and I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. I'm going to start blogging. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a blogger. And I started with Blogger, and I started thinking about what I already had to offer. So I was a fitness trainer, and I was a Group X instructor, and I had all of this stuff that I knew that I could offer to women. And I started thinking, okay, how can I take, my love of teaching, which is kind of a gift that I have to teach, and this fitness stuff, and how can I package that to speak to women and help them while I'm at home raising my child? How can I do all of this, right? And it felt very big and scary. But I just put my mind to it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I started, with what am I going to call it? What is it going to be? And I thought it needs to be something with mom, and I'm like brainstorming all these names. And then MomBeyondBaby just kind of came out. We were just sitting around talking, and it just spoke to me so much, knowing that I was going to help moms become something after baby. At that point, I didn't know how lost and how lonely and alone I was going to feel after I had my daughter. So I really didn't know what I was getting myself into with the meaning of that name, but I knew that I was going to help moms become more than a mom. So life was going to, in my eyes, begin for them after babies, not stop. They were going to be fitter and stronger, and they were going to build this business. They were going to do all of these things that they wanted to do and they had their eyes on. And I was going to be a facilitator and help them kind of do those things. And it started with just fitness. And I started, writing fitness plans and doing all of that stuff. And I saw these women who now I related to because I was a mom myself, right? And we were all just like, what now? What do we do, right? And we're all feeling the same way. We're all sad, and we're having these feelings that no one told us we were going to have. What's wrong with us, right? We're supposed to have a baby. We're supposed to be in love, And the common thread was everyone they would look in the mirror and not even know who they were. And I was having the same things, like, who is Shira? What does Shira want? When did she, all of a sudden my needs, my desires, everything I knew that I wanted, it had vanished. It was gone. It was so crazy and so surreal. But being around all of these women and moms who identified the same, we created this community and this tribe of women who we all had something in common. And that one thing was that we were all moms, and we all knew that we wanted, life was not going to end because of that. We might be a hot mess. We might, not shower and all of those things, but we knew we were on this path to become this mom beyond baby. And so started with the health and fitness, and got really into that and created this amazing community of moms. And then started to see how many moms were reaching out to me about the business thing, and how it's like, wow, like, how did you do that? You took your passion and you work online, and it seems so weird, but it's something that a lot of women really did desire, especially trainers who were just grinding it out, 5 a.m., 7 p.m., missing these quality moments with their family. And so that's when the business coaching started. And it's been a ride. It's been amazing, actually. So
yeah, well, and I think it speaks so much into even the bigger mission that we talk about with women, that as women, we are designed to create. I believe that in every fiber of my being. And I think one of the most beautiful manifestations of that is the ability to create human life. And
yes.
I've watched so many of my friends who have children of all different ages, really struggle and talk openly about their struggles with all of the, the mental, emotional pieces of finding their identity after having a child and having children. So I'm just so excited to dive even deeper into this with you today, because I know it's going to impact so many women in our community as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So here's kind of something I'm curious about. And this is a cool conversation for me to be a part of, because I'm not a mother, at least not yet. And I don't know if that'll be part of my future or not. We're sort of like right in between as far as whether or not we see that for ourselves. But I watch women around me really go through these different phases. There's the phase of having your first child, the brand new baby. And then, as that child gets older, things change. As they enter school, things change. As you add more children to the family.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you notice? I mean, I guess either from your own experience or women that you work with, how does, the phase that a woman is in and the child is in, how does that really affect all of the things that you're talking about, like being able to find purpose, being able to be that stronger, fitter version? Like, what was that journey like for you?
So I think it's funny because moms, I think when you become, so before you're a mom, life is what it is, and you just identify as all of these different things. And then when you become a mom, it's like, that's your identity. And so many of us get so wrapped in that identity. But more than that, from my own experience and just what I've seen, is we get so wrapped in the phase of the newborn phase and the no sleeping. And we just become so, it's like enthralled with this life that we're living. And we go, the phases of literally survival, like basic needs are not being met. Showers, food, those things are not being met, to, they get a little bit older. It gets a little bit easier. We realize that we can do this, that we were made to do this. And we start to feel a little more confident, right? Like we got this, we're doing it. And, then like you said, we add another child, and then it just becomes a little bit more chaotic. But I think, for definitely, with that first child, it's a road that we think we're supposed to know. And I think when we realize that we don't really know, like we just don't really know what we're doing, and we accept that it's a journey, and we're so wrapped in the identity of a mom that we are living in survival much of the time. And I think much of it is a blur. I don't know that we even realize that we've lost ourselves yet, and that we have no purpose, and we're waking up and we realize that our basic needs are not being met. Like, we're not even realizing that a lot of the time, until it's like a fog that's kind of lifted out from us. And we're like, wow, like that was crazy. That was a ride. And we start to then realize, like, oh my gosh, like, once the kids get a little bit older, and I've noticed this definitely as the children start to go to preschool or start to leave us, that's when it hits us of like, whoa, like, what am I doing? Because once you're left with time, which is the thing we struggle the most, once we're left with just a little bit of time to think, it's like, what am I doing? What is my purpose? Like, who am I meant to be? And what am I meant to do? Just that little bit of time, normally like the preschool, school age, that's when the moms really start to have this revelation of like, what am I meant to do? What's my purpose? And they start to really kind of want to chase after that, the idea or the action thing that they're, looking for to do. But I think the phases are so neat. I'm just entering school age phase. So I'm definitely no expert on how crazy, but I think every phase comes with challenges, right? And they all come with a struggle, and you don't see it until it's past you. Like with most things in life, you think the newborn is like, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, I just don't know if I'm going to make it. And then all of a sudden we're in a new set of challenges where we're having tantrums and we're losing teeth and we're potty training. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And then all of a sudden we're in a new phase, and it's like, everything comes with its challenges, but that's just motherhood. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny that as you're talking about that too, I was immediately drawing the parallels to entrepreneurship, right? Just that feeling of like, you realize you have no idea what you're doing and you're figuring it out as you go. And I think that's so beautiful. And it's, I have a lot of conversations where I remind newer entrepreneurs that, trust me, it doesn't matter what Instagram says. No one else knows everything about what they're doing either. We're all figuring it out as we go. And I think in this social media age, one of the most important things to remember for any of us, specifically moms, is it does not matter how beautiful that family looks on Instagram. They definitely have their moments as well. And
so true.
It's so easy to get caught in comparison. Do you find that happening with a lot of the moms that you talk to?
Oh, 100%. Like, you just totally, I resonated with that so much. Because there's this thing when you become a mom, like, everybody's doing their best, and everyone's best looks differently. And some women have husbands who travel, and some are single moms, and no one knows everyone's story, right? And I personally feel like everyone's just doing their best. And so when you throw social media into that, that's the highlight reel. And so when you see this vacation and this kid at this, and, so many women go down that path of, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough. I wish I could do more. Or you see, even the stay-at-home mom, the mom who's opted to be a stay-at-home mom, and then she's glorifying, can I just go to work and like eat my lunch in peace? Like, I would love that. I used to, when my husband would come home from work and I was staying home and I could still just be in my pajamas at 3 p.m., I would get literally mad because he got to drive in silence and listen to a podcast. And I'm like, I would do anything for that. Like, I just wanted that so much. So there's a lot of resentment, but that comes down to communication. And that's where, you do see a lot of moms, especially as the kids are getting a little bit older, realizing that they do have this thing that they want to go chase, and they have, whether it's getting stronger or fitter or building a business, there's so many things, but that's when you really see that spark hit of like, I need to do this for me, because no one's going to give me permission to go out and do that thing. My husband's not going to, my partner's not, no one's going to tell me to go do it. I have to say, this is what I need to go do for me. And the rest just kind of falls into place.
Oh gosh, there's so much gold there. I had to like pause and actually write down one of the things you said, and you said it so casually, but I was like, this is like, I wish I could print this on t-shirts. Actually, maybe I will. And just remind people, you said everyone is doing their best and everyone's best looks differently. Like, so I really want, I don't care if if you don't take anything else away from this podcast today, I want you to know that, because it's true. And I think the pressure that we put on ourselves, I'll even just go as far as to say, as women, live up to standards that a lot of times we make up in our minds, and then add in, taking care of another human life as a mother on top of that. I mean, it's a recipe for one of the topics I hear so many women in my life talk about, which is mom guilt. So can you talk to us a little bit about like, how do you even define mom guilt? Like, speaking to someone who's not a mother, what does that actually feel like?
It is so strange how it kind of takes over you. It's this feeling of, because you are in charge of this human's life, like you are now in charge of raising this tiny human, and you feel this immense amount of pressure, and you feel as if your needs have to take a back seat, because at the beginning they're crying, they need a diaper, they need all of these things, and you have, like, that's what you do. You have to tend to that. And so we make ourselves just in this, it's kind of like this hamster wheel of just like needs, like their needs have to be met, their needs have to be met. And so it goes so far that that's what we keep doing, right? We keep putting their needs met. So that if we said, gosh, I really just want to go for a run today, all of a sudden little Johnny says, but mommy, will you play with me? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, like I can't let him, something so simple as that, to like, you don't have dinner made when it's dinner time. Everything starts to have guilt because it all goes down to our needs. And we've just been putting someone else's needs before our own. And so anything that we might need, it's a lot easier to just put it on the back burner and fulfill the other needs, because that makes everybody else happy. And we forget about that one person who needs to be happy to be there for everyone else, which is ourselves, right? So we get into this mom guilt. And so everyone else is happy and taken care of, but that one person that matters most isn't. And
Yeah.
it just takes over you. It's really, it goes, everything from, like I said, the workouts to dinner to every little thing kind of comes with like a little dose of mom guilt. And I just like, it's like just peeling back the layers to kind of undo and unravel that as you recognize it.
Yeah. When I was thinking about this conversation we were going to have today, it made me think about the parallels between, and you can tell me if this is true, but I feel like it's similar to fear in that, I think I believed that eventually I'd get to a point that fear would go away and I would just never feel it, which isn't the case. There's always
Right.
there's always a little bit of that, especially if I'm doing really big things. Is mom guilt the same? Does it ever fully go away? Or is it more about women learning to move forward and just honor that they feel these feelings, but also start to put things in practice to move through it and to take care of their own needs in the way that works for them?
I agree. I don't think it really goes away. I just think it becomes, you learn to sit with it, like you said, but I think it also comes from knowing that and just really understanding. And sometimes it takes going to that dark place of realizing that you're not yourself and you're saying things that you would never say, things like postpartum depression or anxiety and things that so many moms are facing that no one's talking about because it's that ashamed, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I'm not supposed to be feeling like this. This is not what it was supposed to be. And then recognizing that if we're not taken care of, if our little bucket isn't full, then we just can't give our best to our children and our families. And so we start to realize that, when Susie comes home from school, if we haven't done anything for ourselves, then we're snapping. We have no patience. We're not ourselves. And so I think it's just over time, we start to just do like a little bit of just a little thing. Not, we're not talking about all of the we could talk about self-care for hours, but just the basic needs. And to me, it's a shame that as a society, we're reminding moms to do things like shower, eat, those basic human needs that a lot of people, don't even think twice about, but we're reminding moms that that's part of self-care, to take care of ourselves. We're reminding moms because it's gotten to such a place, mom guilt has gotten to such a place that it's normal to skip showers and to skip meals. And that's like the normal mom life when we're talking about life with a newborn. And so it's kind of to me, it's a little bit backwards, but I agree. It does sit with you, but you just kind of learn to sit with a little bit and then just like take those steps and just reminding yourself that in order to take care of everyone else, we have to be taken care of first.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that, like you said, that could be an entire podcast in itself.
Yeah.
When I love that you have both sides, the fitness, health and fitness, and the business side, because I think it's all one in the same. And like you said, each woman is going to be at a different place. But for the woman who really, her starting point is just starting to take care of herself again and show herself some love and some care, what process do you take women through to just even have them realize what those first little steps look like? I mean, do you have like a specific process or questions that you help women come to that realization?
Yeah. So I'm very big on like very small actionable steps. So really just hearing them and where they are in their journey. I mean, for some women, it's as simple as like drinking water and setting a timer. But a lot of it is, we can give action steps all day long, right? We can throw that, but if they're not the right place mentally
Yeah.
and they're not truly ready, then we're just, we're just like throwing stuff. For me, it's the one thing that really helps the women that I work with is reminding them that they're watching, right? So our children are
Uh,
watching everything we do. And so I personally grew up in a home where my mom did everything for us and nothing for her. My parents didn't go on date nights. They did not make themselves a priority. That's what I knew. And so when I remind them that, Susie is going to grow up and think, well, becoming a mom means that you just leave your life, you put your life on hold, you don't work out, you don't drink your water, you don't shower. That's what being a mom is. That really strikes a chord with them when they realize that their children are watching and everything we do, like they're internalizing it, whether we want to admit it or not. But that's really what kind of helps them kind of just get in that mental state of like, okay, like I can do this. Because for some reason, when you ask a mom to do something because their kids are watching, or if they if they trick themselves into thinking it's for them, 99% of the time they're going to do it. But if you just go right off the bat and say like, you're going to do this for you because you deserve it, they're not there yet. So really just kind of meeting them where they are and just kind of saying, you know what, like we're going to do this for you, but we're also going to do it for them, and kind of merge the two sits a lot better. And those action steps just we just keep chipping away at those.
Wow, isn't that so true? I think a lot of us as women are natural nurturers. We'll do things for
Right.
others faster than we'll ever do them for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I think it's just blowing my mind how parallel this whole conversation is to entrepreneurship, and just taking some of those scary leaps, realizing that it's actually not about you. That desire,
Right.
that calling you feel inside to do something bigger, to serve in a bigger way, to share your story is actually tied back to someone else needing to hear your perspective. So how do you then have that conversation as the women are coming to you, really feeling that nudge toward more, whether it's starting a business or just dipping their toe in creating a passion project, something beyond motherhood, something, a greater impact, even beyond the greatest impact, which of course is raising humanity. How does that conversation typically start? Like what are, I guess I want to have you just kind of identify, what are some of the early warning signs that a woman might be feeling called to like take that next step and create something of her own?
So it's funny because they normally, when they come to me, they've usually like read my story and like, they're kind of like, yeah, like I'm ready. But then the fear sets in, right? Like the fear of disappointment, the fear of investing like family's money, like all of those things start to set in. And then it's like, whoa, like maybe I don't want this, but I actually do. The disappointment, a lot of partners, oh, like, what are you just playing on the computer? Like there's a lot of self-doubt and fear. And again, that's like directly tied with that mom guilt, right? I'm going to let someone else down. I'm going to let myself down. I don't really need this. I can wait. A lot of that comes, but I just think it's a lot of the feeling of unworthiness, a lot of significance. There's not a lot of significance in these women's lives. And it's so crazy because it sounds like what? Like they have these amazing children and healthy, happy families, and they live this amazing life on social media. You would never know that, right? But they come to me and they're feeling lost. They're feeling like they don't matter. They're feeling taken for granted, and they feel like they don't have a true purpose in this life, even though like they're, like you said, raising humanity, which is the biggest thing, but they need something for themselves. And they've lost touch with that. And so for so many of these women, even if it's just a passion project, just getting their thoughts out, just connecting with other women is so fulfilling to them in a way that so many of them don't even know what it's going to feel like. The anticipation of that fulfillment. That's my favorite part, is when they have that aha moment of like, holy cow, like my story matters to someone else. Like so-and-so is reading my journey and getting inspiration, and I'm helping another mom through something because of my story and my experiences. And that, to me, that's where the magic for me happens, because they go from mom at home or working, taking care of kids and having this like, not a little life, but they feel a very insignificant life, to this life of, holy cow, I'm doing something big. I'm playing big. I matter. My story matters. it's just a new level of fulfillment for them. And that's, to me, the huge breakthrough for them.
Yeah, gosh, isn't that true? I think I was just writing something on our Instagram account the other day about how I think the biggest lie any of us tell ourselves is that our story doesn't matter or it's insignificant. And it's often the things that we do take for granted about our own journey that sharing our truth that actually makes the biggest difference.
Absolutely.
I remind people all the time, like we really started this whole platform off of me talking about how I don't have it all together and I'm freaked out most of the time.
Right.
And that's what women needed to hear. And I think it's important for all women, moms included, to hear that the things that you're struggling with are probably not probably there's something that other women and other people out there can relate to. And
100%.
In a weird way, makes going through the struggles so worth it to know that it's helping someone else. That's what I found.
Absolutely. And I found like that no stories are, they're all universal. So like you said, like we're all struggling. And I think, looking back, the one thing that really resonated with a lot of moms in my community was the fact that I was very open about the fact that I don't cook, I don't clean, like I'm not domestic. And I just showed a different side to motherhood that like, you don't have to do all this thing. You don't have to do these things, guys. Like you don't have to walk in the kitchen. We don't have to do these things, but I'm not going to miss my workout, right? I'm not going to miss my work time. And I just showed a different light, I think, on motherhood that was a little bit refreshing for some women to be like, oh, like I don't need to, like, I can like let go of the pressure just a little bit, because who puts the pressure on? We do, right? We put all of this pressure on ourselves, even as entrepreneurs, right? To do all of the things. So it's been really awesome to be able to share and just connect. And like you said, just share the story and let people along for the ride.
Yeah, gosh, I love what you said there, just that we all struggle. And I think it's easy to look at someone when they're a few years into their journey and think like they've made it. Okay, no more struggle. What would you say is something right now in your life or in your business that you're currently being challenged by?
So, this is so interesting. So our dream for me to be an entrepreneur was to be able to bring my husband home full time and have him home. And we just felt like that was really important for our family. And so that happened. But now we're in a new phase of life. My daughter's in school full time and my son goes to preschool 3 mornings, but he'll be going to kindergarten. And we're facing a lot of like, now what? Like what's happened? Like, it's just a big transitional period. Last year when my daughter went to kindergarten, I cried for weeks. Like, what, my baby is like gone for hours. And I had a ton of guilt that I wasn't present when she came home, and I was busy thinking about work, and there was a lot of transition in our family. So at this point, it's, I love my business and I love what I do, but it's just kind of transitioning into just a new phase, a new family phase as well too. Just kind of like, where do we see ourselves, with my husband home full time, and just kind of getting into other aspects of business. But it's been, and I think too, business is changing. Business is not the same as it was. The online space is very different than it was 7 years ago. So really just kind of learning and growing with the space, and with the new set of challenges. And my audience has evolved as well, because I'm no longer the mom with a baby and surviving. And so just kind of transitioning my audience along with my story, and kind of bringing them with me, if that makes sense. And it's been a crazy like couple of months, and the last year I would say has been just full of transitions for us, but it's been great. We've grown, and yeah, that's kind of where we are, I think.
Oh, I love that honesty. I came from a world where there was like this big dialogue around retiring your spouse and being a full-time family. And there was always a part of me that was like, yeah, but again, like looking at the social media version of it versus reality, that's a transition, having one partner home versus both. So I just love how honest you are about the fact that it is a transition.
Yeah. And like, and people will say, well, don't you get sick of him? Like, what does he do all day? I get a lot of questions, and I'm very open, like for sure. Like the first couple of months I was like, okay, this is my office. This is when you don't come in, like, but it's really cool. We work out together, and we try to, that's, that's like our date time, if that makes sense. But we do a lot of family stuff, but it definitely has been a huge transition for us. And I guess because I'm such a goal oriented person that was like the goal. So it's now what? It's like when women want to hit a weight, they get to that weight and it's like, now what? Like that didn't instantly make me happy and overjoyed. So what the hell? Like what was that goal even about? So there's a lot of that, that just runs deep in my blood, the achievement of a goal. So, yeah, it's kind of like, okay, what's next? Like, what are we going to do next? So.
Oh, as a fellow, I will even go as far as to say overachiever. I feel that on such a deep soul level.
Yeah.
So, well, then my next question is, what is next for you? What's next for you, your business, your mission?
Yeah. So, at this point, I have a couple of coaches on to do some more of the health and fitness stuff. And the health and fitness side, it started with meal plans, and that's so not where I am now. Really just taking women along for the ride to get stronger. And for me, I am looking at, going to write a book. I have a really interesting past with an eating disorder, and for me, working with moms, yes, I love that. I love that light. But for me, it goes so far down into the kids and the conversation and the households, and basically taking the stuff that I went through and kind of infusing that into the homes and helping, moms raising their children so that we have just healthy families all around. So definitely writing a book is on the list for 2020, and just getting into a different side of business coaching. So that will be really interesting as well. But yeah, good stuff.
Which I am so glad that you said. Now we have it recorded. So we're all going to be looking for your book. I told you I'm not the friend to tell about your craziest dreams.
I know.
I will not let you forget about them.
No, it's out. It's out of the bag now. It's happening.
Oh, I cannot wait to just dive even more into your story through that platform. And for those who have loved this conversation, who want to connect with you, learn more about everything that you're doing, where is the best place for them to find you and to connect?
So anywhere on social media, I'm MomBeyondBaby. So that's kind of what I'm known as. People like stop me in Target, like, hey, MomBeyondBaby. I'm like, yes. But the sad part is they stop me because of my kids. Like my kids are famous online. No, I'm just kidding. So MomBeyondBaby everywhere. ShiraNelson.com is, the website. But yeah, I'm very, I'm into connecting. So any DMs are welcome and love those. So definitely connect.
And we'll make sure to link all of that so people can find you easily. I always end the show with one final question, and I'll even tweak it a little bit just given our conversation today, which is, if you had one message to encourage and inspire another woman, and we'll edit to say another mom, to get out of her own way and into action around her big ideas, what would you say?
Oh, this is deep. So if I was going to talk to any mom and just kind of tell her to get out of her own way, I would tell her to remember who's watching, first of all, and to remember that like time isn't slowing down, time's not waiting. There's never going to be a perfect time. The struggles now will be, the next phase of struggles. So there never is going to be a perfect time, and that in order to be the best mom, wife, husband, sister in all, her needs need to be met, and she needs to kind of feel and have that fire like lit inside of her, have that purpose and that passion taken care of to kind of be the best that she knows she can be, if that makes sense.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I could not have said it better myself. Shira, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.